I just want to highlight here. In day 2, in Gdansk, I lost every single coin flip. I ended up going 0-7 on coin flips. That's what we're yapping about here. Just to have some context for the people at home. Um, Actually, let's start by talking about the prize cards, because prize cards are like very relevant to Eevee. My prize cards here aren't really important. Prizing a bunch of energy is like kind of whatever. Also, we're not going to be paying super attention to chats during this. That being said, if chat has any questions in between games, we'll kind of like do quick questions there.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. That's how we'll go about that. Emma's going to draw some cards, and we're going to see prize cards. So, as far as Eevee Box is concerned, Emma, this looks like some pretty good prize cards for you. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, these are like almost the ideal prizes. Like you only really play the second Crispin and the second Flareon because you can't afford to have your only Crispin and your only Flareon prize.
Yeah.
If we played Magic, I would not play the second copy of either of them. So at this point, this is just the perfect prices. I think that matters in the matchup.
For sure. I'd be inclined to agree. I mean, obviously, like, we want more Crispin and Flareon to draw them, but you play Quick Search, so...
Exactly. I don't know. Fine cards.
Yeah. All right, so Emma, you're gonna go start. You're gonna first here, and I'm just gonna like let you yap. Do you want me to slow down the video, or like how do you want to do that?
Feel free to slow it down. Like then we get time to yap more. I don't think we're gonna have to run out.
Sure. So yeah, take it away.
This is pretty much the ideal opening start versus Dengo. This is not really a matchup where you need to start with Flareon. The most important part is just that you don't have a 70 HP Pokemon in the active. You see Christian has the Solrock in the active ready to punch, and if you get the turn 1 punch, I should lose the game.
Mm-hmm.
But here I get to just get the setup I need. If I remember correctly, I also have an attachment. I just get to be super prepared for next turn.
I'm gonna skip the sleeve break here. Hi, Emily.
For people that don't know, I took 3 mulligans in this game, and at the end I asked Christian to shuffle my deck. I'm gonna blame you on that one.
Listen, it's not my fault. Your sleeves are bad.
Whoa.
I actually like FCBCs. I like FCBCs. I don't have a problem with FCBCs.
I don't have a problem with Dragon Chills anymore either.
Yeah.
We're allies on this.
For sure. All right, so, yeah, so you're just gonna go like fan rotom, attach pass here, which I like. One thing I want to highlight here is that you showed me the fan rotom like while setting up in game 1. I was like, oh, you're gonna open fan rotom, and then you open a 2 prizer. I'm like, that's really strange. I kind of want to like highlight the 2 prizer opening in this matchup. Because you make a really good point, Emma, about like you don't want a card in the active that's just gonna get bonked by the rock. But the counterpoint to that is that if I am able to take 2 prize cards before you take your first prize card, then I'm just going to win the game, right? So I think this Pagos opening is completely fine as Eevee if you're going first. I think it's absolutely horrible if you're going second. What's your thoughts on that?
Like, the thing about the matchup is that if I go second, I have to basically high roll. Like, the matchup is back to 50-50 when I go second, because the person that takes the first prize without the opponent going 2 prizes back just wins the game.
Yeah.
And if you go 2 prizes before I take my first, then I can scoop the game then and there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you had Gimme Goals on the bench, then I would be trying to have a 70 HP Pokemon in the active, a 1 prizer, so that I can reply with like a Wellspring line or kill a Genesect if you're bad enough to bench it.
Yeah.
Your hand is bad enough, I mean.
I agree. Cool. So yeah, going into my turn here, I'm kind of going to be able to play Minecraft creative mode because Emma gave me 3 mulligans. And this is definitely the most Minecraft creative mode hand I have played all weekend, probably. So the kind of like the main thing here, because I'm going to make a super basic Dengo board, right? Like I'm going to put all my gimme ghouls down. We're going to speed this up here. I'm going to put down all my gimme ghouls. Use Lunar Cycle. Just do like a standard deck check here. So like the sequencing here is going to go Lunatone, draw before I do anything else because I want to maximize my odds of seeing outs to Gimme Ghoul, right? So I can Arvin for better cards. So like here I draw like kind of like 3 whatever cards, right? What I highlight here is with the Prime Catcher in my hand, right? Because we're going to try to get some value out of this Prime Catcher. So, Gong for attachment is going to be fine just instead of playing the Vessel. And then I have a Nest Ball. And then this is actually where it gets a little bit interesting as well. Because I have Arven, where I can just go Arven for Poffin. But I also have an Artisan in my hand, and I have a Nest Ball in my hand. So, how this kind of plays out is that if I did not have raw Prime Catcher, I kind of have a debate where, like, hey, I could Arven for Prime and then go Artisan Nest Ball for double Gimmighoul, but only getting 2 Gimmighoul's is really, really scary in this matchup because if Emma pulls off the Wellspring play, I'm cooked, right? Whereas, like, if she Wellsprings and I still have another Gimmighoul left, like, I'm probably still cooked, but I have, like, a very winnable line from there still, right? Because I have to force the Briar. So, here, as I already have the Prime Catcher because Emma gave me a bunch of mulligans, I'm kind of able to do whatever I want. So it's just going to be a very simple Arven for Poffin. And then like a random tool card. The tool card, I think I already have a balloon in hand, so it's just whatever.
You do, yeah.
Yeah, and then I can Nest Ball for another Gimmighoul. And then here, we play the Prime Catcher for the Solrock kill. What I want to highlight is actually the choice of Pokemon to knock out here. And for the sake of this example, I'm also going to pretend there's an Eevee on this bench. Because I think regardless of what is on my bench, the correct choice is always the Hoot Hoot. And it might look at a glance like, oh, you should knock out the Pidgey because the Pidgeot's a problem, or knock out the Eevee because it evolves into a threat. But the reality here is that the only thing I actually care about when I'm taking the first prize card like such is Emma taking a 2 prize turn. That is the only thing that matters to me. If Emma takes 2 prize cards, I am likely to lose the game. If Emma only takes 1 prize card, I am very likely to win the game, right? As such, knocking out the Hoot Hoot puts Emma in a position where she only needs, or she only can use 1 Knock Towel, which greatly increases the odds of her not being able to go for the Wellspring play. So that's why we're always going for the Hoot Hoot. And this just creates the best board, right? So if Emma goes take 1 next turn, which is what's going to happen, then I'm just able to play Solitaire from there and just win the set, right? Any thoughts on that, Emma?
Oh, absolutely. Like, typically in the vast majority of situations, killing the Pidgey is the best call because then I get to actually just play the game in creative and just cheat.
For sure.
Card every turn.
Yeah.
But this turn 1 and turn 2 are the only turns that really matter in this matchup.
Yeah. So like knocking out the Pidgeot only matters if I have to make a comeback, but because the comeback mode is just so fake in this matchup, like if you're like I don't care if you're playing on creative mode if I'm ahead, right? Then it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's exactly what we're going to see here. And then the rest of this game is just going to be exactly that, right? So, Emma, I'll let you talk through some of your sequencing here. If there's anything you feel like you would like to kind of talk over on that front. But here is just like Noctowl sequencing, right?
Yeah. I do think I make somewhat of a mistake. I think the Wellspring line is possible here, but I leave myself with genuinely nothing if I do go for it.
Yeah.
So it's very risky to do. I think what I did here is just like relying on you whiffing something for a turn.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, I have access to Noctowl, so what I want to do first with the sequencing is to just draw cards off a Fez. I still can get the Nest Ball for Wellspring if I do decide to go down that line. Just seeing extra cards just makes me help the decisions before. Yeah,
one thing I actually wanted to highlight as well, kind of based around my top 8 set, where I also played against Eevee, is that in game 3, most notably, my opponent goes for like a Flareon attack, goes ahead, respond to the Flareon thinking, oh, they're just going to make a new Flareon, I'm going to lose. But my opponent basically to use that, like to get that Flareon into play with like the board, how the board was set up, they had to play down their entire hand, and when I knocked out the Flareon, they had nothing. So
yeah,
I think one really interesting debate here is like, what do you think is more valuable? Playing your hand to win the 2/2/2 and then kind of just prey on your prizes in top decks to bail you out if you have a bad hand? Or is it better to solidify your board, lose the 2/2/2, and then rely on your opponent whiffing? Because I'd actually argue that the first option is probably better. But I'm curious what you think about that, Emma.
I definitely do think I misplay here by going for for the line I do go for, because with access to Pidgeot and Fez, even though I don't have any Hoothoots in play, I do get a lot of just action, regardless of what my options are. The problem is that my deck is just actively horrible if I don't have access to Noctowls, so it's a very difficult decision to go down a route where I'm using my only Hoothoots in play and not replacing them with anything else. What I can do this turn is overextend and go for the line, take 2 prizes, but if you boss kill either my Fez or my Pidgeot, I'm in really bad shape. I think this line is not horrible, not the one I would have gone with in hindsight, but I also think you're just so far ahead in this situation that it doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree. I think the riskier play when you're behind in this situation is probably the best one, but at the end of the day, you're still in a losing spot regardless of what you do, right? So that's how we're going to see this play out. But of course, there's some sequencing here, like raw drawing the Pidgeot and me pointing at said bird. Do you want to talk for your Noctowl and your quick search options here? Do you think there's anything worth mentioning?
Well, in this case, the quick search is going to be for an energy regardless, but Noctowl, just getting the access to more Noctowl is not a bad play. This is a matchup where you typically only need 1 or 2 Noctowls throughout the entire game, to be honest. So just spending it to get more resources is like super fine.
Yeah, I agree. I think kind of like a board setup here is just the most important thing. If we're gonna play the quote unquote safe play of setting up our Pidgeot and setting up our or using our Pagos as our attack here, we might as well be just building a strong board, because you're kind of playing under the assumption that like, hey, I need my opponent to whiff. I just need a big board to win.
Yeah.
So I think that's I mean, assuming this is the line of play we're making, this Noctowl seems very correct to me.
I also want to highlight that if I were to go for the Wellspring Crispin line, I do burn my only Crispin. And at that point, Glass Trumpet is the only energy acceleration I have left in deck, and I don't have any energies in the discard pile. At that point, I would force myself into most likely quick searching for energy, and if my Pidgeot is dead, then I just lose the next turn.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we're gonna jump over to my turn, where I'm gonna go ruefully unpunished here. I'm currently sitting on a hand with 0 outs to Gholdengo, and as we were gonna see, I'm going to promote a Gimmighoul and then top deck a Gholdengo. Yeah, so with a hand like this, nothing really matters, right? I know that if I go 2-2-2, I win this game. So in a very similar boat to Emma, my primary objective here is just to make a strong board that doesn't lose to Iono or anything similar, right? Emma technically has a comeback line through Iono. It's super unreliable in a matchup like this, but it's technically possible. And if she's going to go for the Pagos here, my thought process is like, okay, Iono seems like the most reasonable win condition at this stage in the game. I want to prevent that, right? Of course, having a strong board is just good in general. So we're just going to see some pretty, standard board building here. And of course, I need to make sure I draw the knockout. So I have 0 energies in hand, but I have Superior, Vessel, and Gong. So that's 4 effective energies total right now. It's not a big ask to draw the remaining stuff I need, but of course I do need to hit it. And the sequence here goes that we want to use our Dengo before we use our Gong, because Gong plus Vessel is what gets us like drawing with Lunatone, gets us drawing with Lunatone. So we would Gong with the Soul Rock, and then we would Vessel for the energies, and then we'd go from there. But if I can draw any of those cards early with the Dengo, I can hold the energy outs for longer, which increases my outs to drawing energy, right? So it's all just big, boring math. I'm going to quickly debate it. I'm just gonna like double check my prize map here to kind of make sure it's like not terrible. And I'm actually gonna start with the Artisan. So I forgot about I had this card in my hand. So this is fine. I don't really care what's on Emma's bench besides just not letting her have Area 0 for free. And of course, this is just effectively a free Soul Rock, because Artisan isn't a card that matters in this matchup for any other reason than just grabbing stuff. So I can thin the Soul Rock out of my deck here. But then I believe I will not be going back in. I don't think going back in is correct, because I want to heat the energy out. So I don't want to be... So this Gong is actually a misplay. I don't think it's like super deep or anything, but I do actually think statistically speaking this is wrong. Should we go Gholdengo first? If I hit 0 energy, then I go Gong for the fighting energy.
How many do you have left in the deck? You have a lot, right?
Gongs and fightings, I have plenty.
Okay.
I also have Armor. Like, I have a bunch of Armins as well. Like, I should always be hitting it, right? But if we're talking about playing optimally, this is definitely not optimal. Going Gholdengo first is statistically correct. So, now of course, had we pretended I didn't top deck Gholdengo, different story. Then this is the line, right? But I did top deck Gholdengo, which means I should be attacking with or drawing with Gholdengo as my first line of action here. So I'm gonna draw a Vessel and a Nest Ball, and then from here I can just go just drop my board, right? So we get the Dango, and then here I use the Nest Ball. This is correct because now that I have the outs for all of my Gholdengos, I need to thin those out of the deck now because I don't want to draw them if I can have them anyway, right? So yeah.
Would you?
Mhm.
Would you rather do this than potentially save it and Nest Ball for the Fez? If you like draw a Dengo, then Nest Ball for Fez seems more powerful.
So yes and no. I think this board is just overall more fine. And the reason for that is because I think I already have the knockout here. I believe 2 energy. Yeah, I have the knockout. So I have 2 energy in discard pile. The 2 vessels are. It's a total of 6 energy, so I already have the knockout. So I don't actually need to Fez. I think because I don't need to Fez, I think this becomes better. Because I just want to build a board. I guess there's like an argument to like not Nest Ball for Genesect, go Dango draw 2, and then if I whiff, I go... If I whiff Dango... Like, the problem is if I go Dango draw 2, draw 1 Dango, retreat into that Dango, Dango draw 2, and then... I guess I like Nest Ball for Fez from there, which is like, I guess it's fine. I guess it's like super fine. Maybe that is better. But
I
it's
think
like,
the play is
yeah.
you evolve, you coin bonus for 2. If you draw a Genesect, or if you draw a Gholdengo, you Nest Ball for the Fez then.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then you just Nest Ball for the Gene immediately.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. I actually, I think I agree with that. I'd also like to mention that like my plan this set is like admittedly slightly sloppy because at this point I'm just kind of like playing for the fun of it because I don't feel like I should be here. I had no business winning my top 8 game. So I like a lot of my my like sequencing stuff where I was like a hand like this, right? Like I already have the knockout. I'm just gonna drop cards to drop cards. Like I think I play either a Vessel or a Superior later. That's like super unnecessary, but like doesn't matter because you don't Iono me, right? So like, we see stuff like that a lot in a set like this, but it's going to be coin bonus. I think I draw another Vessel, right? So we're just mad chilling on that front. Coin bonus again. I don't really know what I draw there, and then of course the last coin bonus, right? So yeah, Arvin, Fez, Boss, 3 Vessels in hand, energy. Right, I have the knockout in about a million different ways here. And what we're going to end up doing is I have 2 energies in my discard pile. And I'm going to say I want to maximize my Superior out, right? So that's going to be Vessel first here. I believe I discard one of these energies with the second Vessel to maximize my Superior. I discard Lunatone. Oh, do I have another energy in my discard pile that I'm just forgetting about here? Or am I just throwing? I might just be throwing for content right now. Maybe there's an energy I can't see on screen.
I would think so.
Oh, there is. There is. Yeah. But then, okay, so so that's exactly what I was talking about, right? That means that this second Earthen Vessel is a misplay because I don't need to use this Vessel, right? Now, if I know you play 0 hand disruption, then the Vessel is fine because I'm thinning my deck. Because I know you play Iono, this Vessel is a mistake because I want to hit those energies from Iono, right?
Yeah.
So Vessel number 1 is good. Vessel number 2 is bad. I think I like do the math in my head after, like immediately after that exact Vessel. I'm going like, oh, that was a misplay. Who cares, right?
Well, no, was it because? Oh yeah, yes it was. Well, if you didn't use the second Vessel, you couldn't have taken the KO on this Pidgeot.
This is very true. So the second Vessel kills the Pidgeot. I also just don't think I care about knocking out the Pidgeot. Of course, it's good, right? Well. But at this point in the game, like, it doesn't actually matter. This Pidgeot was just blatant BM. The Pidgeot knockout is just pure BM. Like, this was just for the love of the game. Which is obviously...
it's my favorite part of all time.
Of course, I have to do it. What did I discard here? Premium Power Pro and Arven is like fine. One thing I actually like to highlight, it's not a problem in this set, but something I did the entire tournament. I was pretty aggressively discarding my Arvens because with the trolley build, that was something you wanted to do. But what I noticed is that I like don't have as much experience with Prime Catcher as I do with Trolley. And Arven's like a way better card in the late game when you have a Prime Catcher in your deck than it is when you don't have a Prime Catcher in your deck. So I actually had multiple situations where me discarding Arvens actively diminished my odds of drawing game from Iono. So I'm highlighting this here because I discarded an Arven that I maybe could have discarded something else, right? As like a good thing to watch out for.
Can you pause for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Because when I was talking with Magda,
Mm-hmm.
he said the exact same thing, that he was too aggressively discarding his Arvens, because when he played the Reverie version, that was the correct play.
Yeah.
And during this tournament, Arven is a lot better of a card than it used to be.
Yeah.
I just find that super funny that both of you, like, after the events, had the exact same conclusion on gameplay.
It's funny. Gholdengo players all just share a brain cell, right?
You guys even use the same arts.
Oh,
he
true.
also uses red Hollow Lunatone and not Hollow Silver.
Yeah, and then Emma scoops up her cards here. Yeah. Actually, I want to highlight here real quick. On this board, when I knock out your Pidgeot, do you think the Iono Blood Moon line is like ever something worth playing for?
No.
No, it's just fake.
No. You have 3 Gholdengos in play and a Lunatone. I can only kill your guy, and there's nothing that matters then. You just need literally one Arbon or one Nestable or one Superior. There's just nothing I can do here. There's nothing worth playing to.
Yeah. I will say, I think in a top cut setting, scooping here is inoptimal. It's funny, of course, like no denying that. And I think in Swiss, the scoop here is 100% correct. But I actually think in a top cut setting, when we have so much time, like theoretically speaking, there is a non-0% chance that I whiff from an Iono play that you could like technically play to it, right? That's not really critique, more so as like an observation, but like I'm also gonna scoop a game 2 that's like theoretically winnable, but like no, it's not. I don't think it's theoretically. You know, we'll get to that when we get to that, but
in this type of situation, I would rather scoop at a funny point for chat than.
Oh yeah. This game is all shits and giggles. So yeah, we're gonna have me emote in front of the camera for a bit here. This is always good fun. It's just the mandatory emoting for the camera, right? Yeah.
A surprise Pikachu face always gets me.
Hi folks, Sable here from Project Artemis. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to our sponsor Heavy Play for sponsoring the team and showcase off a few of their wonderful products that they make. Starting off, we have their Deck Box RFG Max. This is a wonderful little magnetic deck box, flip alcove with a picture display for you to showcase your favorite card. We also have their Dice Box RFG. What's nice about this is it magnetizes to itself, so that is not moving. You don't have to worry about like accidentally knocking over your dice tray or anything. It also magnetizes to Deck Box. Their full system is entirely magnetic, so you can Dice Box to Dice Box, Deck Box to Deck Box, Deck Box to Dice Box here. And even going one step further, they have a foldable magnetized playmat. So instead of rolling things up, this folds up nice and flat. You can throw it in your backpack real easy. And then your dice box also will magnetize to it. Keep your dice box on there. Keep it on your playmat nice and flat there in the corner. And that thing is not moving. Once again, we just want to say thank you to Heavy Play. If you're interested in any of the products seen here, please go to heavyplay.com/Artemis or use code Artemis at checkout for 10% off your order. They have red, blue, black, white, gray, green, purple, a whole bevy of colors in their entire suite for you to use to your heart's content. We really do recommend you checking out their product. Anyway, back to the video.
What do you guys each give odds on this matchup? I think it's I'd say probably 40-60. What's your thoughts on that, Emma?
Agree.
Yeah,
It's
40.
a 60-40 in my favor, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that can go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a bad starter in the early game, you can just get run over.
Yeah. It does seem like very much like a variance check type of matchup, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Are you late,
Like,
Mappy? Nah, not late.
like in the finals, I win a convincing game 1, and then
Mm-hmm.
game 2, I get destroyed by prize cards, and game 3, I brick. Like,
Yeah.
it's just variance check,
Mm-hmm.
and I went 5-1 against the deck this tournament, which is about where you would expect 60-40 in a best of 3 scenario.
Yeah, I agree. Likewise, I went 1-2 against the matchup this weekend, which I'm pretty happy with. Um, I guess I went 1-3 on the weekend or on the trip because I also lost to EVs in Lille. Same Eevee Box player that I played against, both in Swiss in Gdansk and in Top Cut in Gdansk. So
And Swiss and Lille.
yeah, and Swiss and Lille. So I don't know what was up with that. Um, yeah, in our hearts, this was the real finals based, and then neither of us won the tournament. God damn it, Emma.
I'm sorry, I tried. You
Rexy,
guys
is
were
is
telling me to
CPAL
find
good? No, CPAL is bad. CPAL is bad. All right, let's skip through here. Go into.
I think if the C5 questions are coming out, I think we're ready to move on.
Yeah, that's my conclusion as well. So here's some prize cards to talk about. My prize cards are pretty whatever, but Emma, talk about your prize cards here.
Red.
Red.
My prize cards are red.
Yeah.
This is what we in the industry would call completely harmless. This doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It looks really bad, but at the same time, it doesn't mess up my prize map. It doesn't mess up my late game strategy, and I just commit the crystal as I usually do in these type of situations. So, because they're not the last 2 or last 3 prize cards, this is super fine.
Yeah. Like it probably should be like noted that like if these were like the top 2, it like definitely could go south, but we also do have plan Bs, which we will be talking about in this matchup. So
Honestly, this is also a matchup where just not having access to any fire energies is never a problem, because you can like fairly easily win without ever access to a Flareon even.
yeah, I think you only really need the second Flareon when we're going for Briar Lions, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, talk about your turn 1 here. Anything interesting or just standard stuff?
This is kind of an interesting play because if I remember correctly, I have the outs to go for Terra turn 1, but I know you don't play Iono, so I don't do that. Or do I Jet Energy this?
No, we don't have Jet in hand.
Oh, I don't have access to Terra, so yeah, this is just the usual pile. I have a second Hoodoo naturally, so I just get the luxury of grabbing the Eevee early.
Yeah, you have the Flareon in hand, so the Flareon becomes your out to a Terra Pokemon as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I also have Serrano, so I could have gotten it anyways. This is not.
Yeah. This kind of gets scary though, like if I am able to knock out your Fan Rotom, then you're kind of forced into getting a Wellspring with not a great board for Wellspring, right? Between your hand and your board.
No.
Yeah.
No, I have accepted the fact that I might lose in top 4 at this point, because if you have the draw you're supposed to have in your top 50% of ranges, you win the game on the spot, and there is not much I can do to answer that.
Yeah.
This is why the matchup is nowhere near free, because there's just so much pressure in the early game that makes sure that I just don't have any reliable comeback mechanisms.
For sure. That also, like, I do want to highlight that also means that, like, the correct play, we have an energy in our hand, is most certainly to retreat our Fan Rotom into our Eevee and just evolve to a Flareon, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I think that's worth saying for sure. But let's talk about my turn 1 here, because my turn 1 is not all sunshine and rainbows. It's not bad. I have outs to gimme. I have Artisan Nest Ball. I think I have no, I don't have an energy, don't I? I think whiffing the energy is the problem, which is just, like, such a key example for me of, like, how important it is to have outs to fighting energy in the early game, because I want you to imagine, if I can get like a good view of my hand here, I want you to imagine, like, based on what Emma just said, and based off of the board here, how different this set is if I have literally a single fighting energy in my hand. That one fighting energy draws me an Arven, and with an Arven, I'm just winning the set, right? Which is crazy. And this is why whenever I look at Dengo deck lists that cut their outs to fighting energy, I'm like, that's the most important thing in our deck. I think cutting that is absolutely insane, right? You will never, I'm just gonna put this out here publicly, okay? You will never see me playing a Gholdengo Solrock list with less than 15 outs to fighting energy, okay? That card is like the most important card in our deck on turn 1. This is a great example of it. You hear an ambulance that I don't care about, but it's loud. Thoughts on that, Emma?
Like, when you have access to fighting energy and Zoroarks, you just get to cheat. You just get to play a bot supporter on turn 1. You just get to play Yu-Gi-Oh for the entire game. Yeah. And like, your deck is just kind of mid if you don't do that.
I 100% agree. So yeah, what did we learn? Fighting energy, good card. Don't cut your outs. So a great example here is that in Lil, I played the Mega Lucario, which resulted in me cutting a Gong for an Ultra Ball. And because I would absolutely never want to lower my outs to fighting energy, we ended up having a 9-2 energy split as opposed to the usual 8 and 3, which was fine. It was totally fine because fighting energy is more important than anything else. All damn day we'll get back to questions between games here. So yeah, that's like another thing. Like a list like Magda's winning 60 has way less outs to fighting energy on opening hand, which is one of my biggest critiques of the 60. But we'll get to that later in the stream. So yeah, no fighting energy and outs in my hand. Womp womp. I'm just gonna have to bench Gimmighoul and pass here. Not much else I can really do. I have a Turo, a Picnic Basket, a Retrieval. I think I'm like debating the Turo briefly, but like I just want to have the Lunatone in the active at that point. So
you want to know what's going through my mind right now?
What?
Holy moly, I won the game. Oh my god.
That's pretty accurate though, right? Because like you do just win the game in this situation.
Like, with you passing the turn here, you can almost concede. Like, if we play this game out 100 times, I win 95 of them.
100%. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. Because basically, like, what we're going to see here, we're going to see it pretty blatantly, is that Emma gets to play creative mode Minecraft now and just wins. So, Emma, talk us through your line on this turn.
I'm just playing the deck as I'm normally supposed to play the deck. Turn 2, Rare Candy, Serrano, get all the things I need. I even have the Crystal Raw in hand, so I didn't need to Jewel Seeker for that. And I get to use my glorified Energy Surge to make sure that I can attack my beautiful, beautiful Pidgey DX.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to hit up the speed up button here, because I think that's all the explanation we're going to need.
And this is a nice scenario to showcase how important the jet energies can be. Like, typically you would almost be forced to grab Latias in this situation, which I do, but I don't really need to here. Like, I'm super fine just jetting into the active, but I would prefer a basic energy. If Latias was prized or something, and jet energy would just be so crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. Seems like a good value card. And then here, we just have the Flareon knockout, which directly results in the Briar play being the play of choice, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would also like to point out that I grabbed the Hoothoot off of Artisan. Some people thought I was cheating by using the Nest Ball for Hoothoot and then Nest Balling for Fez again. No, there was an Artisan in play.
There was, in fact, an Artisan to play. That is how that works. Yeah. So, one thing that is going through my mind here on this turn is actually the fact that I see not a great win condition, but like certainly not a terrible one here. And that's the idea that Emma is hard forced into a Briar line if I go 2-2-2. And what's really interesting about that is that if I go knockout Flareon this turn, and then Emma goes knock or like goes attack with active or like with new Flareon, right? I go knock out that Flareon. For Emma to use Briar, she's effectively forced to make a third Flareon, which while doing anything with Pidgeot is relatively easy, right? It's still a very real win condition. And actually how I almost won a game against Flareon in Swiss earlier in the tournament. So yeah, that's kind of going to be
Yeah,
like
one of
what's in
my
my
nice
mind here.
switches.
Hmm?
Especially one of my nice switches, so I had a price where I have to use one of them to get the third Flareon. I always have to commit extra energy acceleration in the form of Trumpet or E-Switch, and then also both stretches, which can be resource intensive. If I have it, then it is available, but it's not always available.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree. Reminder to chat because we're getting new people. We're gonna be answering questions between games in the VOD review here. But yeah, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna coin bonus into nothing, and I think it's gonna be like Poffin. I just skipped through this. Is it Poffin Pass? Was it? No, it wasn't Poffin Pass. Did I Turo or something? Oh, here's what happens. Yeah, I'm gonna have to Turo because my hand is completely dead. So I have to Turo my active to then reactivate coin bonus. And I had someone ask me like, "Oh, why didn't you evolve your Gimme Ghoul?" Because I put it down this turn, right? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, we draw 2 cards here. There's a Metal and a Nest Ball. And we could do the Gholdengo thing where like, ooh, I snowball my draw. Go Dengo into new Dengo into look a Pheasantipity. And like the Pheasantipity can like maybe get us somewhere, right? But at the end of the day, it's just not going to be reliable here. And I believe I'm actually going to draw reasonably well off the Pheasantipity. Where I'm going to draw, yeah, Lunatone, Gholdengo. So that's pretty good. We can snowball our draw here even more. The problem is that, like, I'm drawing a bunch of more draw cards, but I'm not actually drawing energy. And here I draw a bunch of energy. But we're in this situation where I have the Prime Catcher. I have Vessel, 2 energies, Gong. So here I have an effective 2, 3, 4, 5 energies. So hypothetically speaking, I could go Prime Catcher, the EVEX, knock that out. And that, to a degree, does help with my line of trying to force Emma into doing 3 Flareons. It's obviously not as good as knocking out the active, but it's something, right? The problem here is that I have failed to hit any outs to Arven, and as I cannot evolve my benched Gimme Ghoul, I cannot go through that as a way of doing any more than that. So I could Prime Catcher, but I wouldn't be able to get back into a Gholdengo. So my most reliable play here actually becomes just counter catchering a Hoothoot or, well, passing, which passing is effectively conceding the game. So I am going to end up Prime Catchering the Hoothoot and knocking it out with Soul Rock here, I believe.
I do remember that happening.
Yeah. Here I'm just gonna be like counting my energies to like make sure like I don't have the required number to like do what I want to do here. I'm gonna go for this kind of thought process, but it's just gonna end up being the Gong for 1 and then the Prime on the Hoothoot, which by all means is just not gonna get me anywhere in this game, right? With Pidgeot in play, Pheasantipity in play, and now 2 Flareons in play, this game is lost.
Yeah.
And there's really nothing I can do about it. That's just, I mean, again, that's just like the nature of this matchup, right? Where, you know, had I been able to take a prize on turn 1 and then carry that into 2 prizes on turn 2, I'm absolutely winning. However, I was not able to do that, and my turn 2 as well was pretty bad. So I end up with a board like this, and Emma's just going to be able to do whatever she wants, and I lose the game, right?
Yeah. I'm just ahead at this point, and there's no way of you to get back ahead of me when I just have this strict price advantage.
Absolutely. Oh, excuse me. All right.
Leafeon.
You're Leafeon? Yeah, so quick search for the boss card, I believe. Yep. And another Flareon. And a Bonk. I believe you take fire off the prizes, show me fire, and I can see the game, right?
Yeah, I think that's what happens, but I also have Blood Moon, which it one-shots you anyways. this point, and then I have access to Terrapagos, which kills your Briar. So this is
Mhm.
a game that's super winnable, even without any fire energies. And like I could have gone Jewel Seeker for like Trumpet and Black Belt this turn to get the Blood Moon out of nowhere. If you were to take the KO on my Flareon.
Yeah, absolutely. So the situation kind of plays out in a way where if I had knocked out the Flareon last turn, Emma's able to take a knockout with either Pagos or Blood Moon with a black belt. And then when Emma goes to 3 prize cards and I go to 2 prize cards, then by that point in the game we have gotten the fire energy and we can go, spawn Flareon Briar game, right?
Exactly.
Cool.
Right, look how much.
Oh, hello. And yeah, I'm just gonna solitaire, but like it's gonna be relatively meaningless here. I knock out the active, and I believe you just like show me like black belt fire energy or something like that. And I pack up my cards, so we'll just kind of see me solitaire here. There's not a whole lot of sequencing that really matters. I'm gonna like air balloon to the active if I wanted to like draw an extra card, which is like technically a misplay, but I think at this point in the game I just don't really care. Which,
No.
frankly speaking, why should I? The game is lost. I'm like
This
almost.
is one of those games where
Yeah.
I win 100 out of 100 games.
Exactly. I'm gonna purposely overkill the Flareon here, and then proceed to pack on my cards, because yeah, that's just the type of game that is. When you're that far behind, there's not much to do. If I had a comeback line in my deck, of course we could play towards that, but there's no comeback line here. There is just pray, right? And if they have it, they have it, right? So, yeah. All right, question time, chat. We're gonna put this to normal speed, and then chat, you're gonna have a couple minutes to ask any questions you have. I'm gonna start by reading the question I already saw in chat from earlier. Is Emma able to talk on the variation of the other Eevee top 8 deck, 2 versus 1 Jet, Switch versus Terra Orb, second CC versus 1? Any thoughts on that, Emma?
Well, it's effectively the same deck, but Thomas is playing a few of the cards he's more comfortable with, and I just got bored of bricking, so I added cards that are better at consistency. One thing his list is better than mine at is the big Hoot Hoot. It shouldn't have been cut from the list. It's still kind of good. It doesn't really matter, but 80 HP Hoot Hoot is still as relevant as it has been, and the third Puffin doesn't really change that.
Yeah. I would also argue that the ADHP Hoodoo is really, really, really important in this matchup. I had multiple times in my sets against Thomas over the weekend where ADHP Hoodoo having ADHP and being the only Hoodoo in play was very relevant, where I would want to go for games, I want to go for lines where in the mid game I knocked out a Hoodoo as like a half-hearted comeback line. But the only Hoodoo in play being the ADHP Hoodoo made that like much more difficult, right? Yeah. Ideally, is the Gholdengo line here maintain one prize board and target the birds before they become big birds? Yes and no. You only care about the birds when they stop the Eevee Box opponent from doing explosive stuff on turn 2. Right? At any point past that, it just doesn't matter unless you're behind. But if you're behind, you're losing anyway, right? I think you do have a comeback line in this matchup if Pidgeot does not hit the board. But if Pidgeot hits the board, then you're basically cooked. Like, if Pidgeot doesn't hit the board, you can, like, force the opponent to have certain combos, but it's unreliable at best, right?
Speaking of which, you want to know something funny? Despite having some of the worst prize cards in this entire top cut of, like, recent history of, like, double fire, double crisp and crystal, double Eevee and Ice Stretcher, Wellspring Iona.
Yeah.
I did not prize a Pidgey piece once.
That is crazy, because when I played this deck so I played like an older version of this list, with, no psychic package, Pidgeot, the whole shit, like earlier in the season to some cups, right? I reported back to Emma and Nathan. I was like, hey, this deck is really sick when I get to play Pidgeot, but I prized Pidgeot pieces at minimum once every set. Sometimes multiple times in a set, I would prize Pidgeot pieces. And that was kind of my experience with the deck, where like if I don't get my Pidgeon to play, I think my deck is bad. I think that version of the list was like way more applicable to that. Obviously the deck has gotten way better over the past months, right? But yeah, it's interesting.
That's also just how this deck functions. Like, you don't want Pidgeot priced, but when your Pidgeot isn't priced, something else important will be priced.
Yeah.
So I told the judges and you to like wait for the reaction. 1, 2, 3. Whoa, Krausy's my prize card. And this is the surprise Pikachu face in every single game.
Yeah. It's a skill issue because Emma didn't prize it for real. All right, yeah. We're gonna go into game 3 here, and game 3 is gonna be really interesting because I was one bad top deck away from just winning the game on the spot here.
Oh, yeah.
Which what could have been, right? But let's see here. I'm just gonna skip through.
Let's spoil it already. That you were relatively likely to win this game on turn 2 going first.
Yeah. On that note, this is a great example of why going first is really strong. Because it means that if Emma hypothetically here started a 2-prizer, I would be basically winning the game on the spot. It's like we'll see if the prizes here. My prizes are again whatever. Emma, anything you want to highlight here?
Yeah, good prices.
Good
Especially
prizes.
going second in this matchup.
Yeah.
These are just like everything I can ask for.
The Wellspring's a little suspect though, right? Depending on the board.
Not while going second.
That's fair. But while going first, it's definitely a different story, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So I'm going to play turn 1 here. And Emma's basically just going to tell me outright that she has nothing. It's not like it changes my hand at all. But it's going to be a pretty standard Gholdengo hand here. I'm going to Nest Ball for my Lunatone. Which is, of course, always correct here. But I'm actually going to draw quite poorly from this Lunatone, I believe. And this is going to create a problem that's going to be very prevalent on turn 2 here. Where, we're just going to skip the prize check. No one cares. It's whatever. My prize checks are not very thorough with this deck, might I add. I just typically check the, like, absolutely most important stuff and then leave it at that.
Same.
Yeah. that is crazy coming from you, but yeah. I'm gonna Lunatone here, and I'm gonna draw kind of like just energies and whatever, and we're just gonna do attach pass, right? And then Emma's gonna drop the Nest Ball, and I'm gonna be very sad. But yeah, Emma, talk about your turn 1 here.
I prayed to some random god and it worked. I get to showcase the best card in this deck. Pidgey is my savior. Pidgeot is my wife. This is a game I should, by all means, just get immediately destroyed right here and right now. But purely because I have access to Call for Family, I get to play the game despite only having 1 Nest Ball.
Yeah, so that's gonna be it's gonna be quite important here, where. Because the thing is, like, okay, you top deck Nest Ball, cool, I don't get donked. But, you, like, say, hypothetically, you don't play Call for Family here, right? What happens here is that, you don't have a Terra Pokemon, right? So it kind of just ends up not mattering. And then we have the Crispin. I want to highlight the Jet Energy would have been a really good card here as well. But yeah, any out to be able to go for a Call for Family here is going to be quite strong. And then I know the reason why, but any particular reason why we're grabbing specifically EVX and Fez?
Well, because my game plan next turn is to go Flareon, and if the Eevee dies, I lose the game regardless. So there's no reason not to grab a second Terra because I've already lost the game in that case. Yeah. And what I predict you to do is to kill my Pidgey, and in that case, Fez is good to draw extra cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
I also want to highlight the fact that I grabbed the Fire Energy off of Crispin here.
Mm-hmm.
It did show you an extra energy, but keeping the Fire Energy is just a lot better when I'm planning to go with the Flareon line next turn regardless.
Yeah, I 100% agree on that. All right. So I believe this is the turn where I actually make probably my biggest blunder in this set, which admittedly I don't think would have mattered, but it's a misplay is a misplay. So we're going to start by thinning with Vessel. Because I only have one Dango here, which is really scary. Because my immediate thought process here is, hey, I need to knock out Eevee. If I knock out Eevee, I'm gonna win this game, right? Technically speaking, like I could lose. I have to like knock out Eevee and hopefully also bench another Gimmighoul, at least one, right? And it's not like I have that much draw to do so, and it's not like my hand is that good either, right? So, it's kind of just going to be a bit of a meh hand, hope we can make it work. I have all the energies here. I'm really just hoping for the boss, right? I believe I have 2 energy discard pile, 1 on the active. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 energy. Yeah, so I already have all the energies I need to knock out this Eevee. So I'm just, from these 5 cards here, I'm just really trying to find an out to either Prime Catcher or boss, which theoretically speaking, I should never be whiffing this with Prime Catcher in my deck, right? I should have so many outs here that it just always should be a hit. But of course, that's not the game we're playing. I'm going to whiff basically everything from this Lunatone. This Lunatone is going to draw me nothing. Not even a Gimmighoul, which is where it gets really, really scary. And this is where I make a mistake.
Yes.
Because I'm looking at my hand. I'm going, okay, this is really, really bad. Because I'm very tunnel visioned on it knocking out this Eevee right now. And my immediate thought process, I need to decide if I want to go put my Gholdengo in the active to draw 2 cards and hopefully draw boss, or if I want to have my Gholdengo on the bench, draw 1 card, and if I draw it out to Prime Catcher, I can take the knockout, right? Because if I, If I Prime Catcher with Gholdengo already in the active, I can't attack with my Gholdengo, right? So here's where the misplay. So there's 2 things. Number 1, drawing with the bench is the wrong play. That's the play I'm going to make here. The reasoning being that I believe drawing with the benched Gholdengo is what is more likely to draw me Gust. And without knowing the math, we're just going to assume that's true for a second. Because I want to imagine that I had drawn, say, Arven. I draw Arven, I go Prime Catcher, I go knock at EVX. Well, I have no Gimmighoul's in play on this board. And as such, if Emma is able to go, Pheasantipity into Bench Terra, into Noctowl, into Spawn Flareon Knockout, then, Emma's at 4 left, I'm at 4 left. I have to then go Solrock something, play Poffin, I guess, to, play the game. But then if Emma from there goes take 1, then I can win. So I can do, a full prize board, or full 1 prize board here where, I could, go boss Solrock a Hoot or Fan Rotom, right? Full 1 prize board. If Emma can't Wellspring, then she goes to 3 prize cards while I'm at 3 prize cards, and then I go Gholdengo, take 2, and then I win the game, right? So, that would theoretically be the out here if I do hit the Prime Catcher, but that's, first of all, just a big ask, because I'm notably not allowed to bench Pheasantipity on the board like that. But secondly, and most importantly, in my opinion, is actually the fact that I have a non-terrible plan B if I promote and I draw 2. And that's because I have a Turo in my hand. So what I should be doing here is I should be promoting, I should be drawing 2, and then under the assumption that I whiff, I can go Turo my Gholdengo up into my hand, rebench Gimmighoul. By drawing 2 cards, I increase my outs of finding an out to Gimmighoul, and then I can Solrock the active. And Solrocking the active becomes way better if I have double Gimmighoul in play as opposed to 1 Gimmighoul in play. We're going to get back to the Solrock into the Pidgeot here in a bit. That was a lot of yapping, Emma. Do you have any thoughts on any of that?
Do you know what the top card is? What the specifically second card is? Because I do.
I believe it's Artisan, right?
It's Artisan.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're not going for this line is extremely punishing.
Yeah.
I could have gone for the Wellspring line if I didn't have it priced and still gone ahead in the price race. But if you just retreat coin winners for 2, Turo, have 2 Gimmighouls in play, and take the KO with Solrock, you win the price race. You're far enough ahead, and you have enough draw power for next turn that you should be able to respond to whatever I do. So I think that this is a game-losing, match-losing throw.
Yeah. I would be inclined to agree. And the reason I make this mistake is very bluntly speaking, because I'm so tunnel visioned on knocking out this Eevee, I just strictly forget I have a Turo in my hand. So I'm thinking about
Ooh.
this. I'm doing the math in my head as close to the math I can get. And I just blatantly forget that I have a Turo in my hand. I'm so tunnel visioned on the Eevee that I miss it, and I end up yeah, it ends up costing me my tournament life. Going for the 1 here instead, and I'm gonna of course whiff. I'm gonna hit a Gholdengo, which is about the most useless card I could possibly draw. Where of course the second card here is an Artisan, so had I promoted the active, I would have been able to go Artisan for Gimme Ghoul, Turo up my Gholdengo, re-promote the Solrock, and then knock out the active with double Gimme Ghoul in play, still initiating the prize race, and then basically putting myself in a position where I win if I don't get Wellspring. Now, with that being said, here is a secondary, I guess, debate, is whether or not on this specific board state, I should be knocking out the Pidgey. And here, I'm actually going to defend my play, and I'm going to say, at this stage, it is incorrect for me to knock out the Pidgey. And that is going to be on the basis that if Emma knocks out this Gholdengo, I just lose the game. If Emma knocks out Gholdengo, I lose the game. I know I lose the game, right? So if I knock out Pidgey, I not only give her Fez, but I also give her Counter Catcher. Where I would say, yes, the like knocking out Pidgey into Emma only taking 1 prize is like really good. I also know Emma has a Noctowl in hand, where like I could say like, hey, I'm like forcing Emma to have Boss plus Flareon out plus Energy, which I know she has, plus Crystal to knock out without using any other supporter or using Fez, which is like technically like a decent line, right? Do you think knocking out the Pidgey here is correct or incorrect, Emma?
Knocking out the Pidgey is the only thing that lets you stay in the game. Because if you don't knock out the Pidgey, I win the game by killing the Solrock. The Briar line is so easy for me to get, and you don't play Hand Disruption, and Fez draws just do so much. So the fact that I get to keep the price advantage like this is just so important for me. Like, it's easier for me to kill the active without Fez than to kill the benched with Fez, and that's where the distinction is.
Okay. I think so. I'm trying to think back like how much hand information I have. I know you have a Noctowl, and I know you have a Fire Energy. So under the assumption that you need Boss Crystal Flareon if I pass, right? Then I think I honestly think I'm just gonna double down and say I think not killing the Pidgey is correct, because if I pass and I say you have to have these 3 cards, which you would have, I know you have them, right? Because you can go Noctowl into 1 card plus Ultra Ball to go Noctowl again for whatever, right? That would let you go like effectively play down your hand with no additional draw, knock out my active, and then if my Gholdengo stays... Well, actually, no, because you have Boss in this case. So...
What do you
okay.
do if I just go Serrano Rare Candy and kill the active?
So
you still lose.
So the idea here is that if I don't give you Fez on this board, then you have to use like an additional Noctowl that would make you more likely to like brick later in the game. Like basically, I guess the gambit here is saying Pidgeot doesn't hit the board because like you prize the Pidgeot piece, which like low-key is pretty reasonable. Where in game 3 you haven't missed a Pidgeot, it's pretty reasonable to say that you prize either Candy or Pidgeot. And it's not like you benching Pidgey as a telegraph when you had to call for family. So
yeah,
I think saying that if I passing is the difference between you knocking out my Gholdengo and you knocking out my Solrock. If we assume that's the case, then you knocking out Solrock means that I'm forcing you into Briar, you maybe don't have Pidgeot, And I'm able to make a situation where it might be really difficult for you to go back-to-back Flareons if you don't have Pidgeot, don't have one of your 2 Fez uses, and use an additional Noctowl. Now, this is all, like, way, like, out, like, kind of whatever, because at the end of the day, regardless of if I pass or I don't pass, I'm on the back foot here. And if Emma has Pidgeot, I should be losing regardless, right?
Well, not if it dies, but
Well, of course, right? But, like, if I knock this out, you get Fez Draw into next turn, you get Fez Draw, and at that point, I don't even think I care, right?
No.
Yeah. That's my conclusion on that front.
I do think it's correct to kill the Pidgey, but under the assumption that you need me to prize either Candy or Pidgeot to win this game, I don't hate the choice you made.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very risky play, but you're playing to win, not to continue this game.
Exactly. I think that's a good way of putting it. I'm not sure on what the, like, statistically best play is here. But in a situation like this, I'm just going to go with my gut, and my gut was telling me don't kill Pidgey, so that's what we did. But of course, it's going to, relatively speaking, not really matter, and at the end of the day, I should have made the call to draw 2 with the active Gholdengo and then go for the Turo, to, you know, get the double Gimme board. Of course, it's not like I know that I would have, like, in the moment, it's not like I knew that I was able to draw an out to Gimme from the Gholdengo, but of course, I'm increasing my odds by drawing an additional card, right?
That, I mean, in my opinion, you do know that you draw an out to Gimmighoul, because the thought process should be that if you don't draw an out to Gimmighoul and you don't kill the Eevee, you lose on the spot. And that's what's basically happening at this position. So
that's very valid, yeah. Okay.
If you lose if something doesn't happen, then you pretend it happens.
That's reasonable. That's a good thought process. Yeah, so anyway, Emma's gonna play Solitaire. I'm gonna get bodied, and yeah, we've seen this one before, right? Yeah. Yeah, so that's probably like that's the punt on my end, going for the benched Gholdengo instead of the active Gholdengo, which I guess I could go cry myself to sleep over later, right?
I mean, it's fine. I needed the money more than you anyways.
True. Yeah. It is what it is.
I've definitely made a lot of misplays during this tournament against Kato. Azul pointed out that the Iono I played in Game 3 was just strictly wrong, because I had game in hand. I was having it, and it would require a lot for me to not have it.
Yeah.
But there was no reason for me to do so. And like those type of plays do happen multiple times a tournament, but you just have to make sure that you don't cry yourself to sleep over it, that you don't take a mental hit from it, because you need to focus on the game you're playing here and now, and just accept that playing a deck such as Gholdengo that has infinite sequencing will result in playing wrong sequencing once in a while, or playing which is Eevees with infinite decisions and infinite prize cards will result in you misplaying once in a while.
Yeah.
It's not productive to mull it over during the tournament, but it's something we can consider after fact.
For sure. I wanted to add to this to also mention that, like, I think I was watching your game 3 against Kaito, where you go, where you play the Ayano, and I also, like, I think I was, like, sitting in the crowd, I was like, I think that's a wrong play. But that also, like, is kind of, like, an add-on to one of 2 things. Number one, it's way easier to spot misplays from the crowd than it is, or, like, from, like, watching with, like, a bird's eye view, than it is when you're in the game. That's, like, point number 1. That's, like, pretty obvious, though. And then there's, like, the other thing that, like, I have always been a strong advocate of the saying perfect Pokemon is a myth. I do not think there is such a thing as playing Pokemon perfectly. I do not think it is something humans are are capable of, because you're making so many micro decisions in the span of a tournament where, like, theoretically you could play a perfect game of Pokemon, but you wouldn't be able to play a perfect tournament. Where you make 0 misplays and make the statistically correct play at all times, right? Now, the difference between a good and a great player is that the best players in the world are able to are able to get closer to perfect Pokemon than anyone else, right? That's how you have players like Tord, Henry, Tord, Henry, Brent, Abon, the list goes on, right? Like, we're just gonna use those names for examples here. Are players that are so consistently dominant in the game because, like, no, they're not cheating or stacking or, you know, making sure they always hit it, but they are getting as close to 100% as humanly possible, right? Um, which I think is incredibly impressive, and like as a player, that's what you should be striving to do. Like a great example of this, like an exact thing like this is the type of play where, like I'm really good friends with like Brent Tonneson, right? And Brent has one of the things I always remember Brent doing is that he'll like come up to me at tournaments or come up to anyone at tournaments, right? And he'll go, "Oh, bro, I'm so bad. You know, I made this like this like I did this sequencing error that cost me 2% draw rate." And like, yeah, I hit it, and yeah, I won, but like, I'm so shit. Like, Henry Chow would just never make that mistake. Oh, I'm a washed, I'm a fraud. I'm like, Henry, you're 8-0. Please shut up, right? But that's the difference when it would be between good and great players, right? It just is, and it's acknowledging stuff like that. And bluntly speaking, I think this decision here is like way more blatantly wrong. Like the one where I draw with the bench Gholdengo instead of drawing with the active Gholdengo. I think that is way more incorrect than just some random sequencing blunder. I think it's actually just a massive misplay on my end. But that's just tunnel vision and tournament fatigue, and I'm also sick the entire weekend, by the way. So, that, I mean, at the end of the day, those are just excuses, right? But, like, me not playing at, like, I can name a bunch of reasons why I'm not playing at my best, but it doesn't change the fact that I should be playing at my best when it matters the most. And at top 4 in a regional, it certainly matters the most, right? So
sure, you're against me, and we're having a good time, and we're yapping, and we're doing plays in a specific way, like physically for stream.
Yeah,
but it's still one of the most impactful games of the season for you, and it should still be treated as such.
For sure, absolutely. So yeah, it creates like really interesting situations like that. Enough yapping about that though. I punt, womp womp.
Womp.
What I actually want to highlight is that this game is like technically not over. I have a one line that comes up in my head here. I like to call myself the king of comebacks because I kind of pull some really stupid shit out of my ass, which is kind of really hard to do with a deck like Gholdengo. But like I not to toot my own horn, but I think I'm really really good at finding super niche win conditions. So what happens here is I'm looking at this board. I'm going, hypothetically speaking, I can say I knock out Flareon into knockout Flareon into I'm going to make a board where Emma has to knock out a 2-prizer to win the game. But to do that, she has to make the 3rd Flareon. She can't win with like Blood Moon or anything else. And I believe there's something else that happens here that basically requires me to go double Turo. As like a way to pick up my board.
The 1 prize.
Oh yeah, because I have a 1 prize board here. Duh, I forgot I couldn't evolve. So Emma can go take 1 here, and then here what I basically have to do is I have to go Dengo, no Genesis can play, Turo my Lunatone to deny that easy boss target. And basically what this play does is it forces Emma to win with Blood Moon Black Belt, which means that either Blood Moon or Black Belt being prized would like theoretically win me the game if she can't make a 3rd Flareon. These are all just like super niche lines, but like if the win condition, like if my win rate is above 0%, I might as well play for it, right?
It's game free at top 4. There's zero reason not to play to your outs. Your outs are a myth, but I don't believe in myths.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, right, like, I kind of have to just power of friendship my way through this one. But you're going to show me the Blood Moon, right, by playing that Cyrano.
Yeah.
And then here, I think I'm going to make a misplay, which is benching the Solrock.
Agreed.
I think benching the Solrock in and of itself isn't technically a misplay. I think the misplay is actually benching it immediately, where this is still fine if I go Turo into Turo. But basically what I should be doing here is I should be going my Gholdengo draw first, and then only benching the Solrock if I have to, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. And with my hand size being as big as it is, I kind of don't have to bench the Solrock regardless. I'm pretty sure I have all the energies in hand anyway. So yeah, here I'm going to go draw a bunch of cards. And do I have... yeah, I do have the knockout. I think I'm going to... have double Turo in this hand? Maybe I do have double Turo. I don't remember having double Turo. It looks like I do, but I don't remember having double Turo. was gonna bench a Gimme Gold. The Gimme Gold bench is fine here because I'm okay with Emma taking 1 this turn. Yeah, so I'm gonna Turo, and then I'm gonna knock out the active, but I didn't have to bench this Soul Rock. So what's gonna happen next turn is I'm gonna whiff the Turo and just not have that line. It's not gonna matter, of course. Emma's gonna have game with the Blood Moon anyway, but you know it's a misplay regardless, right?
I tell you then and there on the table that the Toro de Lunatone is a really good play.
Yeah, yeah. Which is, I think it's my only win condition. That is above what 5% if we're being super generous.
No. You don't have 5% to win this game. You have max about 1.
I have probably the odds of you prizing black belts, which is way lower than 5%.
Well, I also have double Night Stretcher.
Of course, yeah. You have you spawn a Flareon, right? Yeah. So my odds here are like super slim, but the problem is like the Pidgeot card exists, and that makes comeback lines kind of non-existent.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm gonna try to like make the fancy play, you know, force you to have the thing. We're gonna blatantly show the black belt in our hand here. Everything at this point, like I don't really care that I whiff the Turo when you've shown me the black belt, right? All of this is just formalities. Not that it doesn't sting when I whiff, but womp womp, what are you supposed to do? And yeah, we're gonna knock out your Pidgeot for the love of the game here, because that's definitely optimal, right?
I mean, I conceded game 1 when you knocked out my Pidgeot.
Who knows? Maybe Emma will just insta concede when the Pidgeot dies, right?
Maybe my programming is just that.
Yeah. All right. That was that. Cool. Any questions in chat before we say bye to Emma? We'll let chat take their time, catch up with the stream, and of course write out questions. Emma, do you have anything to say about the game after the fact?
I think we played well. Most parts. I can only spot 1 major misplays, and as we've said earlier, the major misplays are the ones you really should avoid. And like then and there, it doesn't really feel that much because of the tunnel vision. And I also did my misplay because of tunnel vision. That's a very dangerous trait to have. Yeah. But I think it was a great matchup Pokemon. Games 1, 2, 3, super close, all of them. Yeah. And there were always like lines of where we could come back. This is a matchup that is decided on turn 2. So after turn 2 in all 3 games, there wasn't really that much anymore. But between those crucial turns, it was completely back and forth.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It was a really fun set. I really enjoyed playing it. I always just love playing on stream because I have a massive ego that needs to be stroked. But yeah, we're gonna go through some questions. I'm just gonna read out loud.
I have some peanuts before questions.
No, you cannot.
Because I've always wanted to do that. Have just a few peanuts with you on call.
You're sick. You're sick in the head. All right. So, how do you guys mentally reset within a round when you know you blundered? There's no trick here. There really isn't. This is just experience, right? If you tilt, right? Try your best to mentally reset yourself, right? Picking up some kind of habit to do as like a mental reset is a good idea. This isn't something I do when I tilt. Something I do at the beginning of round 1 before every tournament is I actually slap my cheeks like this. A little harder than that, but the idea is that it's just like some habit you pick up that's supposed to like put your brain in like a specific headspace, right? So having something like that is like a little psychological trick, but at the end of the day, there's no like hard fix. It's just experience and habit, and some people just deal with tilt better than others. You have to figure out as an individual how you handle that the best. Any thoughts there, Emma?
No, it's just experience and being being open with yourself about how you react to things and not letting your ego take advantage of you. Like, I've played in money matches, either at like unofficial tournaments or regionals, like dozens of times at this point. So personally, I don't get much affected by it anymore, but it's definitely been something that I used to struggle with a lot when I was worse at the game, especially during my period before I had my first day too. I had like a massive streak where whenever I started doing well, my mental would just go to the floor because I got nervous.
Yeah, seems good. How long do you keep bragging rights over your friends for a top 4 win over them? They don't exist
Forever.
because Emma's gonna yap about it. I'm gonna clap her on the back of the head, and that's gonna be the end of it.
I get it forever.
She gets it forever, but I get perma
Every
right. I get
time.
perma rights to just punch her for it. So you win some, you lose some, right?
Yeah, I feel that.
I want to ask Emma if Typhlosion Shaman is an auto loss, and if she's thinking of playing Lopunny in the future to kill Crustle. Thoughts on that, Emma?
Typhlosion and Crustle are not matchups you should care about at all. But no, Typhlosion with Shaman is about a 45-55. Crustle, I've beaten it before, I can beat it again. We are considering testing Lopunny, but not for the Crustle matchup. No.
Yeah. I'd like to add to that, say if you're respecting Typhlosion and Crustle, your priorities are bad.
Completely wrong.
They're bad. Don't even
Yeah.
those decks are fake. They're never something you should ever go into a tournament respecting. Next.
The thing about those types of decks as well is that their power level, consistency level, and outlay potential are just so low that realistically, if you're a great player, you should be able to beat them a lot of the time on what is supposed to be a horrible matchup.
I'd agree. Doesn't always work, but you're definitely more favored than others. All right. What you mentioned about Brent ranting about lowering his draw chances, that is not really a healthy mentality, is it? If you blunder or make a mistake, isn't it better to recognize it but not keep digging into it? I think that depends. I think there's a big difference between walking up to someone and, kind of like venting about it or letting out your frustrations, right? But I think, I'm not going to speak for Brent, obviously. That would be wrong of me to do. And it was more of like an example of this. But most players at this level are good enough at handling their tilt to, like, if they see themselves make a mistake, they're not going to let it affect their gameplay. And as a matter of fact, if any part of your game, if you're tilting about that for whatever reason, walking up to someone and then venting about it is one of the most healthy things you could possibly do. Because you have to get it out somewhere, right? And if you don't vent to someone, you're just going to carry that into your next round. Of course, don't, like, overwhelm and, like, dump everything on your friends and, like, yell and scream like a crybaby, right? But, like, walking up and say, like, oh, look at me, I did this silly thing, right? To, like, kind of, like, reset your mental is super healthy. So I'd actually go around and say it's not unhealthy, it's actually extremely healthy. As long as you manage it correctly.
There's always a fine line with those type of things, and he's probably exaggerating. But
Of course, yeah.
It's just better to talk about those things than to not.
Yeah, 100%. Could not agree more. Cool. Any final questions before we send Emma off? Don't think there's much left. If you have more questions for Emma, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter. My username is the same as in chat, Latius, or you can just write Emma Hagen. You will find me. My name is fairly common, but I managed to be the most popular one on Twitter, at the very least.
Based. Cool. All right, Emma, that's gonna be it for today. Thank you so much for coming on. I believe the VOD of this VOD review will be on the Team Artemis YouTube channel, right?
Yeah. Can I do my shoutouts before I go?
Yeah, please continue.
Perfect. I would like to thank the Artemis team. I would like to thank the European gang, you, Julius, Luke, Nathan. And I would like to thank our sponsors, Heavy Play and FCBC. And I would like to thank you, the viewers, for watching another Project Artemis video. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.